Moving ahead, we are on page number 3 and we are going to perform a test for proteins. Okay, I have tried simplifying it with the help of a diagram. So we have here, we are going to take the first test tube and we are going to put some copper sulfate and some water over here. I've mentioned how much. We take 2 grams of copper sulfate and add 100 ml of water to it. So this is my copper sulfate solution. Understood? How much did I take? I took 2 grams of copper sulfate and 100 ml of water. H2O represents water. Okay, so this is the copper sulfate solution. In the second test tube, this is my test tube number 1. In my second test tube, I am going to take 10 grams of sodium hydroxide and 100 ml of water. Mix it up with 100 ml of water. So this is my sodium hydroxide solution. Okay, now I take the third test tube. For example, I want to test whether, what should I test? Okay, let's test milk powder. Let's test milk powder has proteins or not. So what do I do now? I am going to take the third test tube number 3, and I am going to add some milk powder. To the milk powder, I am going to add 10 drops of sodium hydroxide solution and 2 drops of copper sulfate solution. I've mentioned over here. What do I add in the third test tube? 3 things. The substance that I need to test. What is the substance that I need to test? It is the milk powder. I add a little amount of milk powder. I add 10 drops of sodium hydroxide solution and 2 drops of copper sulfate solution. Okay, then I'm going to shake them well. After some time, I will see that the substance or the resulting solution has turned violet or purple in color. What does this show? Once the substance turns violet or purple in color, it confirms the presence of protein in that particular food component. What was the food component over here? What was the food item that I considered? It was milk powder. Okay, I repeat this one. How many test tubes are we having over here? 3 test tubes. Generally, they are not so big, but definitely so that you understand well, I've zoomed the drawing. Okay, I've drawn a little bigger. So now in the first test tube number 1, what is the solution present in test tube number 1? Copper sulfate solution. How did I make this copper sulfate solution? By mixing copper sulfate with 100 ml of water. 2 grams of copper sulfate with 100 ml of water. Test tube number 2. I take 10 grams of sodium hydroxide and 100 ml of water again, and I prepare a new solution which is called as the sodium hydroxide solution. In the third test tube, I am going to place the food item for which I need to test whether it contains proteins or not. So what is the food item I am considering? It is the milk powder. I add some 2 tablespoons of milk powder in my third test tube, and along with that I am going to add 10 drops of sodium hydroxide solution and 2 drops of copper sulfate solution, and I mix them well. Okay, now the resultant substance or the resulting solution is going to turn into which color? It is going to turn into violet or purple. What does it confirm? It confirms the presence of proteins in milk powder. Okay, try out with different substances. You might definitely understand what contains proteins and what doesn't contain proteins. So here, if this wasn't turning into violet or purple color, this shows that the particular food item does not contain protein. Remember that point. After this, we have a follow-up table where they have mentioned few food items like rice, sugar, milk, curd. You need to understand which of them contains carbohydrates, proteins, fats, vitamins, and minerals. Thank you. So moving further, we are on page number 4. So now we are going to study about one more food component apart from carbohydrates, proteins, fats, vitamins, minerals, and after this comes roughages. Okay, you might be noticing that your mom is always cutting salad for lunch and dinner so that you eat it. Why do you think she is doing that? Okay, why do you include salads in your diet? What is the importance of salads? What are these salads called as? These are nothing but, roughages. Okay, so now the cucumber or the onions that she's giving you to eat alongside or additional to your lunch or dinner is nothing but the added on roughages. The roughages are also called as dietary fibers. And some people pronounce salad as salad also, that's okay. Okay, so now do you find some fine strands or thread-like structures? So let's take an example of lady's finger. It's called as bhindi in Hindi. When you cut the lady's finger and you start pulling, you can, you are able to pull out some thread-like structures out of it. It is very, whitish when you cut it half and you start pulling out those white color threads. What are these white color threads? Okay, these are nothing but fibers. Okay, that is why all these vegetables are called as dietary fibers or fiber rich food. How is this fiber going to help you? Let's study about it. So what are these strands called as? You need to write here, it is called as fibers. And few examples like I've mentioned over here is lady's finger as well as beans. Even when your mom is cutting beans, you can see some thread like structures coming out of it, and you start pulling out of it before you are actually going to put them to cook. Okay, so yes, we understood that the substances which contain these thread-like structures or fibers are called as roughages. Now, what is the use of these roughages? Roughages are very good for your digestion or metabolism. How are they good? Fiber does not dissolve in water. Okay, it does not dissolve in water. Once you take in these fiber rich foods, once you eat them, okay, they are going to reach your intestine. And if your intestinal walls contain any leftover bacteria or leftover food, the fiber is going to push it down, so that you excrete all the waste material. Do you understand? This is how the fibers keep you healthy. They are going to push off the waste material out of your body through excretion process. So basically it acts like a scrub that is going to remove the dirt out of your dirty cloth. Just like that, fibers are actually removing the bacteria and the germs from your intestinal walls once you take them in. Do you understand? That is why you take them along with your meals, so that once the food is digested, if anything else is left over the on the intestinal walls, or something sticky is left over the intestinal walls, the fiber helps pushing it out. Okay, in the form of excretion, of course. So now remember, roughages are also called as dietary fibers. Lady's finger and beans is mentioned over here. You have further sources like gourds, ridged gourds like bottle gourd or the bitter gourd. Then you have fruits also. Okay, sometimes when we eat apples, we eat along with the peel. While when you're eating a banana, you remove the peel. Okay, why do you think people are eating the apple with the peel? Because the peel also contains nutrients which are fiber rich, which helps for good digestion. Okay, so you need to remember one more point. Because of good intake of fibers, diseases like colon cancer are also prevented. Okay, because it keeps your colon or your intestines fresh and clean, and out of bacteria. They prevent bacteria. They don't let bacteria sit on the walls of the intestine, because if you're eating fibers, they are actually pushing them out. Okay, so now the second most important thing that is required in a good diet is water. Why is water needed? So to understand why is water needed, we will be trying out a simple experiment. Take a long test tube, and you take a sponge, the yellow color sponge with which we dust the board. If I take the sponge and I try to fix it inside the test tube, I might find some difficulty while pushing it down the test tube. So what do? I take the sponge and I dip it in a bowl of water. Okay, the sponge is wet now. Now the wet sponge is, pushed inside the test tube, and you observe that the sponge easily goes in because it is wet. Now do you understand? While you're taking food, after food, if you drink water, it helps your food to move down the food pipe and reach the other organs very easily. Okay, and so that the other organs of the body are able to absorb the nutrition also. Do you understand my point? I repeat this one. What happened over here? I was trying to push a dry sponge into a long test tube, but I was facing difficulty while doing it. So what did I do? I dipped the sponge in water, and this wet sponge, I tried to push it down the down the long test tube. And I observe in case number 2, while I was trying to push the wet sponge, it was much more easier. Why do you think it was easier? Because it was wet. It contains water. Do you understand? So this shows that after you eat food, you need to drink a good amount of water so that the food also, goes down your food pipe and reaches your stomach. Okay. And good digestion happens after that. Now they have mentioned in your textbook a term called as thali. Okay, you must have gone to restaurants and you must have seen the menu over there where it is mentioned thali. So what does the thali contain? It contains all types of foods famous in different parts of the country. For example, the North Indian cuisine or the North Indian thali might contain, something like makke ki roti, the maize parathas, and the saag, the curd, rice. South Indian cuisines or South Indian thalis might contain puris, then white rice, then one or two types of dal, then aloo curry, then a sweet, okay, like paisam or something like that. So why do you think people like eating thalis? Because it contains all different types of food over there in small amounts, and you're able to take in all kinds of nutrients at one go. After you finish the thali, definitely you feel full because you have actually attained all those nutrients which were present in the food which is present in the thali. Okay, so what does the thali contain? It contains too many different types of foods which are rich in different sources. Okay, that is very important for our body. One kind of nutrient is not important, but all the kinds of nutrients together are actually act like soldiers of our body, and they also prevent us from further diseases, also build our immunity. Okay, in these times definitely you need to improve your immunity to your best. Okay, so now there's a question over here: how to make your diet a balanced one. How do you think you can make your diet a balanced one? If you include good food in your diet instead of choosing pizzas, burgers, chips, and very, very oily food, try choosing fruits, vegetables, dry fruits like raisins, dates, cashew, and almonds, and drink good amount of water, how much ever needed for your body. Usually, a grown up drinks around 6 to 8 liters of water in a day. Now, it depends on your body weight also. You should not drink too much amount of water also, because that will result in water retention. But yes, you should not drink less amount of water also. Not too less, neither too less, nor too much. Drink ample amount, drink good amount of water which is needed for your body, and eat in good amounts, eat in small portions, eat in required portions. Don't eat too less, don't eat too much, because if you eat too less then you're underweight, and if you eat too much then you're overweight. Then try to maintain the required amount of weight as per your height. Always have a health checkup monthly, or once in 3 months or something like that, so that you have a count of your height, as well as you have a measurement of your height as well as weight, so that that you are growing adequately, okay, in the right way, basically. So I mentioned a point over here: avoid junk foods. What are junk foods? All those foods that you buy, the confectionery items like cakes, pastries, as well as other items like pizzas, burgers, or ice creams. Too much of this is definitely going to spoil your health because they don't contain the right amount of proteins. Try choosing fruits, vegetables, and the seasonal fruits. Sometimes exotic fruits like kiwi, the dragon fruit are also really good for health. Then you have good vitamin and minerals present in milk also. Try avoiding flavored milk because it contains chemicals. And okay, so why do you think people prefer eating good food in these days? To build their immunity, so that this good food, when taken in, it is going to provide nutrients to your body, and these nutrients will help to boost your immunity so that you become a fit person, and all those diseases run away from you, and your white blood cells act like soldiers and prevent you and help you fighting all those ailments and diseases. So there was a very famous French scientist named as Lavoisier, and early back in 1700s, he researched about nutrition, and he came to a conclusion that diseases like scurvy is gum bleeding. Okay, diseases like scurvy can be prevented by eating adequate or the right amount of foods. For example, if you eat good food which contains good amount of vitamin C, you can prevent scurvy. Remember, scurvy is nothing but gum bleeding. Similarly, if you eat foods which contain vitamin A, it is going to prevent night blindness or beriberi and so on. There are diseases like rickets and weak bones also. So you need to eat good amount of protein rich food like meat or milk or eggs. All these things contain good proteins. They are bodybuilding materials, building components which help you grow. They build your bones, they make your bones stronger. But too much of it will definitely result in very high bone weight then. You need to take it in good amount. Okay, you need not overstuff or overdo anything. Okay, so basically that's all for this lesson. I would suggest you to please go through the lesson, read it properly, read each and every line. It's a very simple one. The name of the lesson was food components. So sum it up, what did we learn in this? We learned that there are various kinds of nutrients like carbohydrates, fats, vitamins, minerals, proteins that are required for the body. We should not eat the same kind of food every day. We should try different cuisines, of course, but not too oily or something that contains too fat. Why do you think fat is necessary for your body? Fat gives you energy. Don't make it zero fat food. Otherwise, you will start feeling lethargic. A good amount of fat in your food is also necessary so that you are active and you're able to do a high performance task also. Okay, so definitely for energy required task, you need fats also. So here, after that, we studied about how to test starch, proteins, and fats. We studied why is balanced diet necessary for our body, how to boost our immunity, what all should we avoid, and what all should we include in our diet. We also learned about the famous scientist named as Lavoisier, who discovered or researched about nutrition and also suggested that to prevent many kinds of diseases you need to eat good nutritious food. And here we have also discussed about roughages or dietary fibers, which are very important for your metabolism and digestive system. They also prevent constipation, they improve your bowel movement, and we have also studied about water, which helps in good flow of food in your food pipe and reaches the stomach, and the further processing of digestion happens. So that's all. Please read the lesson. Thank you.